Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into a powerful topic that touches on the intricacies of female psychology when a man simply walks away. Have you ever wondered what happens emotionally to a woman when a man decides to leave? Does she feel relief, regret, or something deeper? And how does this shift her perception of him? In this video, we'll break down every emotional stage a woman goes through when a man walks away, exploring the subtle yet profound psychological shifts that occur. From initial shock and ego bruises to eventual regret and reflection, we'll uncover what's happening in her mind and how the power dynamics play out in ways many men may not fully understand. The central takeaway here is that walking away, when done for the right reasons, can change the course of a relationship, leading to newfound respect, realization, and a shift in the way she sees you. So stick with us to the end, because by the time you finish watching, you'll clearly understand what happens when you decide to walk away and why it might just be the best thing for both of you. Let's get started. 1. Initial shock and denial. When a man walks away from a relationship, a woman's first emotion is often shock. It catches her off guard because, deep down, she believes that men are supposed to stick around, chase after her, and constantly prove their worth. This belief is tied to an expectation that a man will be there no matter what happens. She might have grown accustomed to the idea that his attention is permanent, so when it suddenly disappears, it shakes her core. At first, she enters a phase of self-straw story. She tells herself that he's just upset or playing a game. She convinces herself that it's temporary, that he'll return shortly and everything will return to normal. This denial is her mind's way of protecting her from the pain of facing the reality that the relationship may be truly over. She tries to believe that she still has control over the situation, that it's merely a brief disconnect and not a permanent separation. Her next move is to monitor the situation. She checks her phone incessantly, waiting for a text or call, hoping for some sign that he's reconsidering or reaching out. Her social media becomes a place to look for clues, scanning for any hint of him trying to reconnect. This is part of the process, waiting for him to take the first step to prove that he still values the connection they once shared. Her emotional state is a mixture of confusion and hope in these moments. She cannot fully accept the idea of him being gone, and the disbelief keeps her trapped in anticipation. But as the hours turn to days and the silence stretches on, reality slowly settles in. 2. Ego bruise and power shift. When a woman invests her time and energy into a relationship, she expects attention and care. Over time, if the man stops showing interest or pulls away without explanation, her ego can take a hit. Women are used to being pursued, to having the pace of the relationship controlled by their actions and how they attract men. So when he walks away, it can feel like the first time she's faced genuine rejection. It's an unfamiliar experience that stings deeply because it challenges her sense of worth. She may mask her true feelings to protect herself from the vulnerability of rejection. She'll tell herself and anyone who listens that she didn't like him that much, that she's better off alone, or that she's relieved to be free of the situation. These statements are not meant to be taken at face value, but rather reflect her defense mechanism kicking in. It's easier to convince herself that the relationship wasn't crucial than to admit that she feels hurt and dismissed. Anger often accompanies this bruised ego. She may channel her feelings into public posts on social media, venting about how men are never worth her time or how she's too good to settle. These outward expressions of frustration serve as both a form of self-convincing and a way to assert control over the situation. She convinces herself and her followers that she's unaffected, even as she quietly nurses the sting of rejection. What's important to understand is that this reaction isn't about the man himself, but the power shift when a woman's sense of control is challenged. For many women, the power in relationships often lies in their ability to influence the dynamic. When that dynamic shifts unexpectedly, it forces her to confront the reality of her vulnerability. Recognizing this pattern is key to understanding how women process the emotional complexity of relationships, and it helps explain why they sometimes act out in ways that seem illogical or exaggerated. It's not about the person. They're reacting to the emotional pain of feeling rejected and losing control. 3. Overconfidence and distraction. When a woman faces emotional loss, her initial reaction is often one of vulnerability, but after the emotional shock settles, she starts to mask this vulnerability with overconfidence. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect herself from the pain of rejection or heartbreak. She convinces herself that losing him doesn't matter and that she will end things anyway. She rewrites the story in her mind, turning her departure into something she had planned all along, something she was in control of. This narrative is her shield, but deep down, it's fragile. She distracts herself with anything that takes her mind off the situation to suppress the emotions that threaten to surface. She spends more time on social media, posting selfies and hanging out with friends. These distractions are not necessarily about seeking attention or validation. They create an illusion. She wants to show the world and herself that she is fine, unaffected by the loss, and has moved on. Even if the reality is far from this, she projects strength and independence. But internally, the battle rages on. Beneath the surface of her confident exterior, she begins to doubt whether she made the right choice. The distractions start to lose their power, and when she takes a moment to pause, the thoughts of him resurface. She questions if she was too hasty, if there was something worth saving, or if she let go of something meaningful. In these moments of stillness, the cracks in her overconfident facade begin to show, and the vulnerability she tried so hard to hide slowly emerges. This internal struggle is not just about missing him. It's about confronting the reality of her decision. The distraction was meant to numb the pain, but eventually the truth catches up. And when it does, she has to face whether the mask of overconfidence can protect her from the regrets that may follow. 4. Curiosity kicks in. At first, she tells herself that it's no big deal. He hasn't texted in a few days, but that's how it sometimes goes. However, a quiet curiosity builds as days turn into weeks with no word from him. What happened? Why hasn't he reached out? The silence that once felt comfortable begins to feel unsettling, and she starts to wonder if something is wrong. At first, she dismisses the thought, after all, maybe he's just busy. But curiosity soon begins to chip away at her rationality. She might find herself checking his social media accounts, scrolling through his pictures, trying to figure out if there's a sign of what's happening in his life. She replays old conversations, searching for any hint explaining why he's gone quiet. It's not that she's stalking him, it's just that she needs some kind of confirmation. Does he still care? Is he still interested? This is where the power dynamic shifts. When he was texting her first, chasing her attention, she had control. Now, it's her turn to wonder and check if he's looking her way. She has to confront the uncomfortable reality that she's no longer the one being pursued. The waiting, the wondering, the uncertainty, it all becomes a game, but one that's frustrating because she's no longer sure of the rules. This moment can be eye-opening for both of them. For her, it's the realization that she's invested emotionally, while he may not be playing by the same rules. And for him, it's the understanding that prolonged silence can flip the script and shift the power balance. When curiosity takes over, the control no longer rests solely in his hands. A subtle shift is essential to recognize in the dance of attraction. 5. Emotional shift. Doubt. At first, she was certain walking away was the right choice. The decision felt final, and the distance seemed like the only path forward. But as time goes on, something shifts within her. A song, a familiar place, even a brief memory of him can trigger a wave of regret. Those fleeting moments reveal that she may have made the wrong choice, or wasn't ready to let go. His absence starts to feel more pronounced as she moves through her days. Initially there was a sense of liberation in leaving, but now, as she compares new people to him, she notices something unsettling. None of them measure up. The men she meets lack the charm, the connection, or the spark that once existed between them. Each new interaction forces her to confront the truth. She's still measuring others against the one man who left a mark on her. But what's most telling is her internal struggle. She describes herself as she's moved on and's fine, but deep down she knows she hasn't fully let go. The doubt lingers like a shadow, quietly undermining her confidence. She tries to push it aside, but the doubts resurface whenever she sees something that reminds her of him. It's not just about the relationship, but her self-worth and ability to move forward. The longer she tries to ignore these feelings, the more she begins to question her own decisions, unsure whether she's acting out of fear or genuine realization. The truth is that doubt is a powerful force. It makes you second-guess everything, especially concerning matters of the heart. For her, this emotional tug-of-war can affect her sense of stability, and it can be a hard truth to accept. Sometimes it's not just about the man, it's about her doubts, about her journey to clarity. The question remains, can she let go? Or is she trapped in a cycle of regret, unable to move on from what she once had and might have lost? 6. Regret and reflection. As time moves on, something begins to shift within her. The realization doesn't hit all at once, but instead creeps in, like the quiet settling of dust after a storm. She notices the absence of the man who was once there for her, who consistently showed up, gave his attention, and made his presence felt. What once seemed like a given now feels like a loss she can't easily replace. The moments she had with him when he proved his value without asking for anything in return began to replay in her mind. She reflects on how she took him for granted, how she thought he would always be there, that he would keep proving his worth without her needing to acknowledge it. Now, in hindsight, she sees the mistake in that assumption. She sees how disregard for his efforts has created an irreplaceable gap in her life. It's not just the grand gestures she misses, but the quiet things too. The way he was there when no one else was. The way he showed up for her in small, meaningful ways. And now, she's left to wonder how much of his attention she truly deserved and how much she took for granted. The realization lingers in her mind, and over time, it becomes harder to ignore. She can't undo the past, but she can't stop reflecting on how she may have failed to appreciate him when she had the chance. This regret doesn't come in a single rush. It comes gradually, triggered by the smallest of reminders, a shared memory, a song that reminds her of a moment they had together, or a quiet evening where she's left to face the silence. As she reflects on what could have been, the weight of the loss becomes more evident. What she once thought she could always count on now feels like a distant, fading memory, a reminder that sometimes the most valuable things are the ones we don't realize we have until they're gone. 7. The mistake of rushing back. When a woman expresses regret about a decision or action, it can be tempting for a man to rush in and provide reassurance. He might think he can fix things by being there, showing he still cares, or validating her feelings. However, this is often a mistake. Women will only truly feel the weight of their regrets if they fully recognize the loss. If a man remains too present, checking in, liking posts, or keeping himself available, he inadvertently prevents her from truly understanding what it means to lose him. She may regret the situation, but without the absence of a man, that regret won't carry the same emotional depth. This isn't about playing games or being cold. It's about holding your ground. When a woman regrets losing you, that regret must come from realizing she's missed out on something special. It should be her journey, not one prompted by constant reassurance from you. If you rush back in too quickly, you become a safety net rather than a man she values and respects. Realize that genuine regret is not something you can give her. She must come to it on her own. When she's left to reflect on her actions without your constant presence, she'll start to understand the weight of her choice. Only then will she know the value of what she lost. And that's when the real opportunity for reconciliation can arise. Holding your ground and maintaining your sense of self-worth show her that your attention and affection are not just given freely. They must be earned, and you won't rush back into her life to make her feel better. Your absence teaches her something far more valuable than anything immediate validation could offer. 8. The chase instinct. When a woman senses that a man is genuinely gone, that he is no longer easily accessible or willing to entertain the relationship, something shifts inside her. At first, the absence may seem temporary, a fleeting moment that will eventually pass. But once the reality sets that he might not return, she begins to feel the void he left behind. This emptiness, this space once filled with his presence, ignites a primal instinct, the chase. As the silence stretches, the woman finds herself subconsciously testing the waters, looking for signs that she still has power over the man. She might casually view his stories, like his posts, or even send a seemingly harmless message to gauge his reaction. This behavior isn't about rekindling a meaningful connection, it's about confirmation. She wants to know that, despite everything, she can still win him back if she chooses. The chase instinct isn't about weakness. It's about feeling desired, knowing that the connection is still there if she chooses to reach it. But here's where it becomes tricky for the man. How he responds will determine everything. If he gives in too quickly, responds without hesitation, or shows that he's too eager to engage, he kills the chase. The woman needs to feel a struggle and a bit of uncertainty. She needs to experience the thrill of not knowing whether he will respond. It's the dance of tension and release that drives her emotions forward. This power dynamic is delicate. If the man doesn't stand firm and doesn't make her feel like she's fighting for something she might lose, the chase will lose its excitement, and so will the attraction. It's not about being cold or playing games. It's about maintaining a sense of independence, showing that his life doesn't revolve around her or her validation. When the chase feels too easy, it loses its spark. Robinson, and that's when the pursuit fades. 9. Realization of who was the prize. There comes a turning point in every woman's life when she comes to a realization she never expected. It's a moment of clarity where she finally understands that the man she let go of was the actual prize, not her. In the past, she may have convinced herself that she held the upper hand, was the one in control, and that if she wanted, she could either make him chase after her or replace him entirely. At first it may have felt empowering to have that control, to make him prove his worth. But with time, as she reflects on the relationship, something shifts deep within her. The excitement of her power fades, and what's left is an uncomfortable emptiness, a void that wasn't there when he was part of her life. The simple truth starts to sink in. She didn't realize it then, but he was the one worth keeping. This realization often strikes harder than expected. It's not the regret of losing someone, it's the awakening to the fact that she had something rare and let it slip away. She now understands that the man once by her side wasn't just a companion. He was the one who supported her growth, made her laugh, and offered a sense of security she didn't truly appreciate at the time. The pain of realizing this loss is something that lingers in her mind, often long after the relationship has ended. She will recall the moments when he tried to make things work, when he offered his love and dedication. Now those memories are tinged with the knowledge that she may never find someone like him again. And in that quiet reflection, she fully grasps the truth. She lost a man who was the real prize, not herself. This moment of realization doesn't always come quickly. It's a slow-burning understanding that grows over time, but when it hits, it's undeniable. And in that realization, she faces the truth that perhaps she never fully understood his worth when she had the chance. Ultimately, the real takeaway from this video is that walking away for yourself is not just a power move, it's a reflection of self-respect and self-awareness. When a man understands his worth and chooses to walk away, not out of manipulation or game playing, but because he values his growth and well-being, the dynamic shifts completely. The woman who once believed she had control is left to grapple with the realization that she lost something irreplaceable. Ultimately, it's not about making her regret losing you. It's about walking away for your peace of mind and growth. That's where true power lies. You become the prize when you recognize that someone else's validation does not define your worth, but your actions and choices. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever walked away from a situation where you realized your worth? How did it change the dynamics? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on relationships, self-improvement, and the psychology of attraction. Stay strong, stay focused, and always protect your power. See you in the next one.